Students, till now we have covered two very important examples of non-Mendelian inheritance, that are germline mosaicism and trinucleotide repeat mutation. We will see the third example, which is genomic imprinting. Now, I told you one single line for each of these examples that will help you answer the question in your exam. If you remember my previous class, I told you if you see in your question a line which says parents are normal, parents are phenotypically normal but the child is affected, then your answer will be germline mosaicism. Clear? Germline mosaicism. Parents are normal but the child is affected. Anticipation or trinucleotide repeat mutation. If it says, if your question says increasing severity over generations, increasing severity over generations, then your answer will be trinucleotide repeat mutation or anticipation. Clear? For genomic imprinting, if in your question it is written differential expression of gene, differential expression of gene depending on parent of origin, your answer will be genomic imprinting. Now, what do you mean by genomic imprinting? We will have a look. Genomic imprinting is based on principle of epigenetics. Now, if you remember epigenetics, it is the gene modification. Epigenetics is gene modification. Okay. So, it is defined as differential expression of gene based on chromosomal inheritance from maternal or paternal origin. It also says that in some cases, one of the allele is silenced and the other is expressed. If the expressed allele undergoes deletion, there is a development of disease. Do not be scared of this sentence. It simply means that usually there are two alleles. One comes from father and one comes from mother. Now suppose if one of the allele is silenced, through gene modification, right, through gene modification, what are the two methods of gene silencing we have already discussed in our previous class? They are either DNA methylation or histone deacetylation. So you remember the story we have talked about in our previous class, that suppose a methyl group is given to DNA, DNA will become busy playing with methyl group and DNA will not do its homework of encoding protein. That means it will become silenced. So the statement says one of the allele is silenced and only the other allele is able to express itself. And if that allele also undergoes deletion, if that allele also undergoes deletion, there is a development of disease. So can I say the most common method of genomic imprinting is deletion? Most common mechanism is deletion. And second most common mechanism for genomic imprinting is, second most common mechanism is uniparental disomy. Uniparental disomy. Okay, what do you mean by uniparental disomy? The term itself describes it. Two alleles coming from the same parent. Uniparental, single parent gives rise to two alleles. Disomy. Clear? So these are the two common mechanisms through which genomic imprinting occurs. So it is based on principle of epigenetics. Commonly asked question, what are two methods of gene silencing? DNA methylation and histone deacetylation. And wherever you hear this line, differential expression based on the parent of origin, you know the answer will be genomic imprinting. Clear? Now we will see the examples. These two are the most commonly asked in exams. Okay, Prader-Willi and Angelman syndrome. Very important examples of genomic imprinting. Others are Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome and Albright's hereditary osteodystrophy. Now, let's have a look at the differences between Prader-Willi and Angelman syndrome. Do not be scared of the terms. I have simple mnemonics which will help you remember the differences. Prader-Willi has P in it, right? Prader-Willi has a P in it. That means it is due to deletion. I told you most common mechanism is deletion. So, deletion of paternal chromosome 15q, okay. Prader-Willi has a P in it, so the deletion occurs in the paternal chromosome 15q. Whereas Angelman syndrome, a mother is like an angel, right? A mother is like an angel. So Angelman syndrome occurs due to deletion of maternal chromosome 15. Easy to remember. Paternal chromosome, Prader-Willi, Angelman due to maternal chromosome deletion. Next, a mother usually wears a sari, right? A mother wears a sari. So easy to remember. What are the clinical symptoms? Seizures, ataxia, mental retardation and inappropriate laughter. Okay. Seizures, ataxia, retardation and inappropriate laughter. Whereas the clinical features of Prader-Willi. Clinical features of Prader-Willi, just a mnemonic, okay. What does it mean? That usually fathers work less than mother, right? Fathers usually work less than mothers. So, there is hypotonia. Hypotonia, and if a patient is not working, that means more prone to obesity. So, hypotonia and obesity are seen in Prader-Willi syndrome, okay. So, mental retardation is common. Mental retardation is seen in both the cases, whereas in Prader-Willi there is hypotonia, obesity and hypogonadism, okay. Whereas Angelman syndrome there is seizures, ataxia, mental retardation and inappropriate laughter. So, commonly questions are asked based on the differences between the two, okay. So, is it clear? Next, we will study about mitochondrial DNA inheritance syndrome, okay. That is the fourth and the last example of non-Mendelian pattern of inheritance. Now, let's have a look. Now, the question says which of the following represents the mode of inheritance based on the pedigree chart shown to you. It is an AIIMS question, okay. So, you can see they have just twisted the normal information into a pedigree chart form. So, you can see that in this entire pedigree chart, right, only female is able to transmit the disease forward, right. Female is able to transmit the disease forward, but never the male, okay, never the male. So, can I say this line? That the type of inheritance in which affected male never have affected child, but an affected female always has affected children. That means only female is able to transmit the disease and never the male. That is an example of mitochondrial inheritance, okay. Same thing they have asked you in a pedigree form. Only female is able to transmit the disease, but never the male, okay. So, that is a hint. If in a question it says that only female has affected child but never the male, your answer will be mitochondrial DNA inheritance syndrome. Now, let's have a look what exactly is mitochondrial DNA inheritance syndrome. If you remember the basics, right, a cell has nucleus and cytoplasm, right. You must have studied that the entire genetic information is stored inside this small nucleus in the form of DNA. So, DNA is the genetic information stored inside the nucleus inside a cell. Now, can I say the only organelle apart from nucleus which has DNA is mitochondria, right? The only organelle apart from nucleus which has certain amount of DNA is mitochondria. That amount of DNA present in mitochondria, or we usually say mitochondrial DNA, leads to development of disease, and that is called as mitochondrial DNA inheritance syndrome. That is clear, okay. So, as the mitochondria also contains small amount of DNA, this DNA has a role in disease development. Now, ovum contains much more amount of mitochondrial DNA compared to sperm. So, the usually more amount of mitochondrial DNA is present in ovum compared to sperm, okay. So, ovum is mainly responsible to transmit disease. Can we say that's why only the daughters are able to transmit the disease to future generations, because it is the ovum which contains much more amount of mitochondrial DNA compared to sperm, and the little bit amount of mitochondrial DNA present in the sperm, little bit amount of mitochondrial DNA which is present in the sperm is also degraded by the ubiquitin proteasome degradation pathway. Okay, it is degraded by ubiquitin proteasome degradation pathway by the ovum. So, ovum destroys a little bit amount of mitochondrial DNA which was present in sperm, and that is why it is only the ovum which will be able to transmit the disease, or in simple forms it is usually the females who are able to transmit the disease to the future generations, never the males, okay. Now, let's have a look at all the important examples of mitochondrial DNA inheritance syndrome. Yes, it is tricky, but we have a mnemonic to remember them, okay. KLMNOP. All of the following, all these are important questions, right? All questions have been asked in your exam, very easy to remember. K for Kearns-Sayre syndrome, L for Leber's optic neuropathy, L for Leak's disease, M for Mela's syndrome, N for Knapp syndrome, O for ophthalmoplegia, and last P for Pearson syndrome. So, all of the following have been asked in your exam, very easy to remember. KLMNOP, okay. Kearns-Sayre syndrome, Leber's optic neuropathy, Leak's disease, Mela syndrome, Knapp syndrome, ophthalmoplegia, and Pearson syndrome. Now, let's have a look at the question. Which of the following is not an example of mitochondrial gene mutation or mitochondrial DNA inheritance syndrome? So, yes, these three are characteristic example if you remember the mnemonic. Whereas Prader-Willi, right? Prader-Willi follows genomic imprinting. Okay, it was an example of genomic imprinting. I hope you also remember that it occurs due to deletion of P for Prader-Willi and P for paternal chromosome 15q, right? Paternal chromosome 15q deletion. And what are the clinical features? Mental retardation, hypotonia, obesity, and hypogonadism. Easy to remember, right? We have lots of mnemonics, easy for us to remember. So, the answer will be Prader-Willi syndrome. Prader-Willi syndrome is not an example of mitochondrial DNA inheritance syndrome, rather it is an example of genomic imprinting. So, it's clear. I hope we have covered all the 4 examples of non-Mendelian inheritance, that are germline mosaicism, trinucleotide repeat mutation, mitochondrial DNA inheritance syndrome, and genomic imprinting.